What's up, everyone? It's Q from Retro Q Gaming, and I'm sure if you've been looking around the internet at anything Mafia 3 related lately, you've probably seen one of, well, if you exclude all the technical bugs and glitches and games shipping on PC without physical activation codes and 30 fps cap and texture and graphics settings not working properly, if you ignore all of that stuff, you might actually have seen some controversy that has popped up. Now, when I say controversy, I mean actual story controversy in relation to some of the content in the game. Now, we all know Mafia 3 as it is already rife with controversy, for the simple reason is there's the whole issue with being black in the 60s in America, or in the, I believe it's the southern states in America. My American geography is a little bit hazy, but there's a whole racism thing going on, especially considering you're using a black character and everyone's complaining about the language in the game and all, but it's very, very accurate. It's historically accurate and it's factual to an extent. I don't see the issue. Now, that's just me, but I'm getting off topic with that anyway. That'll be a little extra side discussion towards the end of the video. Now, the bit that is raising a bit more controversy other than all that stuff is one of the side missions in the game. Now, if I'm reading this correctly, the name of the side mission is called IRA Don't Ask. Now, many people out there, unless you're Irish or English, you probably don't know what that means by default. So I'll get into that now in a second anyway. But yeah, it's called IRA Don't Ask. And it basically has you working for an Irish mob boss. And he's working on he's getting you to help him help what he calls the brothers back home, which is basically the actual IRA in Ireland in the game. Now, before I get any further, I will explain real quick. The IRA stands for Irish Republican Army. I mentioned it, obviously, the reason I'm talking about all this is because I'm Irish. And the big thing with it is back in the day, about a little over 100 years ago, there's a big issue with 1916, but, I won't get into that too much. Over 100 years ago, obviously, probably like 150-ish, 160-ish years ago at this point, it might have even been longer. But the English invaded Ireland, and, there's lots of, what would you call it? Basically, we were treated like shit. It was like a forced takeover. Now, the Irish Republican Army were basically the guys who fought back to get Ireland back to Ireland. Or Ireland back to the Irish, if you will. They succeeded for the most part. They drove the English basically out of about 75%, no, about 80% of the country. Or is it about 75? You get the idea. They got them about 3/4 of the way out of the country. And to this day, the north/northeast of Ireland, which is considered the Northern Ireland, is still technically, depending on who you ask, it's basically under English rule. They use the English currency. They have the law is a whole other issue because it's not exactly the same, but it's generally considered its own separate country. It's not considered England. It's not considered the Republic of Ireland, depending on who you ask. But you'd usually see it in like tournaments and stuff like that. You'll have Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland. Now, the reason why this can be a big issue is there's a lot of fighting going on, a lot of bombings, a lot of conflict, all that. Even to this day, over 100 years later, that this is still going on to an extent in the border areas, and not just the border areas. It's happening on both sides slightly as well, but it's more so happening around the border areas of all this. So naturally, there's a lot of stuff going on there, a lot of families torn apart, a lot of people killed, I won't say both rightfully and wrongfully, but what I mean is innocent bystanders versus people who are fighting for what they consider their cause. So because of all of that, okay, this mission is drawing a lot of hate up in Northern Ireland. Personally, haven't seen anything in here in the Republic complain about it at all or anything like that yet, but it's only fairly recent. The game is only out less than a week, so it could still happen at this point. But the big issue with this is the content of the mission. So the main thing in the mission is the Irish mob boss in Mafia 3. He's looking for you to steal 3 specific cars in game and deliver them to him. So you do that anyway. He explains that the cars are for a certain heavyweight within the organization back home, which he's referring to some high up guys in Ireland. And basically that they're, towards the end of it, he says that the cars were needed in order to, and I quote, keep the Belfast law guessing when things go boom. Now, the reason for that is Belfast is a place in Northern Ireland. It's one of the bigger areas and conflict-ridden areas, so it's like the big part of up there. So that's why it's a big place to listen. He also says at one point, the brothers back in Belfast really appreciate your help. Now, the reference that's in that is for anyone who is not Irish or English or, well, from the UK and watching this video, be you American or somewhere from Europe or Canadian or whatever, you probably know the alcoholic beverage in your local region called either an Irish car bomb or a Belfast car bomb. It's obviously an alcoholic drink of some sort, but that's what it's based on. It's based on actual car bombs that were used in Belfast to blow stuff up and kill people. So you can imagine why a lot of people are upset about this. Now, a lot of groups in Northern Ireland at the moment, they're leading calls to 2K Games, the parent company of the developer of Mafia 3. So what they're looking for them to do is they're trying to get some of the higher up executives, maybe the producer of the production company, the producer of the development company, to actually visit Northern Ireland, meet some of the representatives of some of the groups over there who are fighting against this kind of thing in the political way rather than in the violent way. They're looking to meet they want them to meet some of the victims of the families to get it across to them what they're referencing in this. At the moment as well, they're looking to also ban the sale of the game in Northern Ireland because of what they're calling glorification of insensitive nature, insensitive content, if you will. Now, so I've basically mentioned all of that on there as well. Now, in relation to what I said towards the start of the video, when it comes, right, as someone who lives in Ireland, who has lived in Ireland his entire life, 30 years, now, fair enough, I live about 200 kilometers from the border, but it's in the size of Ireland, that may not sound like a lot to, non-Irish people out there, but 200 kilometers in Ireland is massive. That's like half the country away, nearly. So it's a pretty big chunk. Like, it's a couple of hours trip if I was to just travel straight there. So naturally, I'm pretty far away by my standards. Now, so as someone who has lived in Ireland his entire life, obviously it's part of my history, but I don't think this is a problem at all, putting this in a game. I mentioned it at the start of the video, towards the start of the video, when I just referenced Mafia 3's general setting, content and all as well. For example, they use the N-word a lot in Mafia 3. In the 1960s, it was used by both white and black people. Obviously, maybe there was other races in there too, as using it as well, but it was obviously used as a racial insult by white people in that time, in that area, and it was obviously used as I won't call it a term of endearment, but in a non-derogatory way by black people in that region, by black people at the time. That's historically accurate. Why is that a problem that's in a game? Is everyone just so offended by everything? History happened, people. All I can say is, sure, we might not have the best history in the world. Germany, obviously, World War II happened. There's no denying that whatsoever. Be it not just Germany, but obviously the rest of the countries involved as well. Germany obviously go out of the way to censor all their, anything that involved like the Nazi party or the socialist regime and all that happened over there. They have their own reasons for it. They feel like they still get victimized kind of by it. I'm not going to debate about that or argue about that or anything. But they have their own reasons for it, which are some of the ones like I just mentioned. That's their choice, obviously, to do that over there. But at the end of the day, World War II happened. We all know there's enough that's happened, basically. And I don't think, is it wrong to make World War II games? No. No, it's not at all. It happened. Deal with it. Is it wrong to put something like this in a game? No. I don't believe so at all. As something that I can't say I'm close to, but I'm relatively close to. Like, I've never had to deal with any of this stuff where I live, but as I said earlier, it is part of my part of my history, sorry, and I still don't think it's an issue. I don't think putting that in an issue at all. Some people I've seen online have compared it to akin to, these are mostly, say, American players that I see comparing this. Most of them use it as a comparison that it would be the equivalent of putting, say, something 9/11 related into a game that you could play. Maybe if you were, boarding the plane or something like that. Obviously, it doesn't have to be as involved as, say, planning the attack or, being the one who flies the plane. It can just be being involved even in a third party way. So I don't think that would be inappropriate either. Now, sure, some people would not be happy about it. America, especially at the moment, are very, very overly sensitive at the moment. I don't understand it at all. I mean, at the end of the day, this stuff happened. There's no doubt about that. And putting it in a game is not going to do anything. If you're a rational person, maybe so you were affected by it. Don't play the game. Don't buy the game. If you're gonna hear about it in some way, shape, or form, you're gonna hear about it regardless. So it's not going to force the game on you. And at the end of the day, a lot of these games like to be, I won't say completely factually accurate, but they like to use it as a solid base to get you a proper immersive experience kind of thing. Make you feel like you're in, I don't know where Mafia, I think it's Louisiana or New Orleans. No, I think it's New Orleans actually. Make you feel like you're in New Orleans in the 60s. Make you feel like you're in, I don't know, Germany in the 1940s. Make you feel like you're in Pearl Harbor in the 1940s. Make you feel like you're in, Jesus, I don't know, Iraq in the 2000s. I don't know, why are people not going after Battlefield 3? Why are people not going after Battlefield 4? Why are people not going after Battlefield 1? It's still a war. Millions of people died in whatever war. Why are people going, why is that okay? Why is the rest not okay? I don't understand it at all. People need to realize that these things are a game, okay? These things are also factually accurate. So, let me put it this way. Let's say Battlefield 3 as an example, okay? You have the American people saying, oh, this game is fine, this game is fine. What about all the people? Let's say, no, Battlefield 3 is a bad example because I don't remember the story. Let's say they make a Battlefield 5, okay? And it covers the war in Iraq. The most recent war in Iraq, the Bush war in Iraq. Let's say it covers that. The game releases, Americans say it's fine. What about the millions of people in Iraq that have been affected by it and they think it's not fine? You could guarantee America would fight to keep that game on their shelves. Now, let's flip it the other way around. Let's say Iraq invaded America and they won, or they did severe amounts of damage. And then someone decided to put out a game referencing that. You could damn well be sure America would try fight that, despite it being factually accurate and historically accurate. So, it's a double standard. And I think that no matter what the content of a game is, be it offensive, be it racially sensitive, be it historically sensitive, nationally sensitive, whatever it is, it's a fucking game, people. Get it together. Manage to... There's a disassociation going on between these people that are offended by this. I'm sure the people at 2K Games know that it was a bit of an issue. That's putting it sarcastically, a bit of an issue. So I'm sure they probably went through all that. They decided to put it in anyway because it's pretty authentic. And that's coming from an Irish guy. And that's coming from an Irish guy who has no will or desire to play Mafia 3 at all, even before I heard about any of this. So you get the idea. Now, I've been rambling on incoherently because it's 7:24 a.m. and I've been up all night. So I'm going to leave it at that. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about culturally insensitive or culturally offensive topics or whatever in games. Let me know all that in the comment section below. If you think they should be included or whatever, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. You can follow me on Twitter. Details in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the rest of the videos in my channel.